Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are talking about the dystonia. 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 The dystonia is the sustained or intermittent muscle contraction of agonists and antagonists muscles that causing repetitive movement and abnormal posture. So the dystonia is sustained or intermittent muscle contraction of antagonists muscle and this causes the abnormal posture causing the abnormal postures the dystonic are the pattern movement and twisting movement. The movement is pattern type and twisting. Sometimes there is dystonic tremor. Often they are initiated by the voluntary action and cause the overflow muscle action. Sometimes there is started as voluntary action. After the voluntary action, there is overflow muscle action. This is the muscle contraction of antagonists. This is the muscle contraction of agonists. Muscle action of agonists, but overflow occur. The overflow occur after the voluntary action of the muscle. This overflow is not required for normal motion and normal action or normal movement. So the dystonia is the sustained or intermittent muscle contraction of agonist muscles causing repetitive movement and abnormal posture. The dystonic are pattern movement and twisting movement. Sometimes there is dystonic tremor. They often initiated by the voluntary action and cause the overflow muscle action. This is the overflow muscle actions that is not required for normal movement. The dystonia are present in 1 leg of the patient. In 1 leg, 6 persons may be affected by the dystonia. Classification of dystonia. The dystonia is classified by the various names: infancy or childhood onset, on the basis of age, adolescence, adulthood, focal, segmental, segmental, diurnal, nocturnal, generalized. There is also adolescence, adult onsets, focal, segmentals, diurnal, nocturnal, and generalized. This is the classification of dystonia. Now we will discuss the focal dystonia. Focal dystonia. The focal dystonia are mostly present in the adult. That is, onset is adult onset. Adult onset. Adult onset. They most frequently affect the women. They most frequently affect the women. Women are more affected by the focal dystonia, and they are present in 4 to 6 decade of life. 4 to 6 decade of life. Now we will discuss the various terms that used in the dystonia. When head deviate from the normal side, when head deviate from the normal side to other side, from one side to another side, that is called laterocolis. Laterocolis due to dystonia. And when the head twist, that is called torticollis. Torticollis. The twisting movement is called torticollis, and the head move from one side to another side due to dystonia, that is called laterocolis. When head move forward direction, that is called retrocolis. When head move forward direction, that is called retrocolis. Laterocolis. The laterocolis is the forward direction of the head due to dystonia. The blepharospasm. The blepharospasm is the repeat closing and opening of the eyes. That is, repeat blinking of eyes. Blinking of eyes. That is called blepharospasm. The oromandibular dystonia. There is the oromandibular. This is another type of dystonia. Oromandibular dystonia. The oromandibular dystonia is the type of dystonia in which repeat closing and opening of mouth occur. Repeat closing and opening of mouth occur due to the oromandibular dystonia. There is syndrome called Meiggs syndrome. Meiggs syndrome. In the Meiggs syndrome, there is oromandibular dystonia. Oromandibular dystonia plus blepharospasm. Blepharospasm. In shortcut, that in Meiggs syndrome there is repeat closing and opening of the mouth, and there is also repeat closing and opening of the eyes, that is repeat blinking of the eyes. It is called Meiggs syndrome. This Meiggs syndrome occur in the women greater than the 60 years of age. Occur in the women greater than the 60 years of age. Now we will discuss the spasmodic dystonia. Spasmodic dystonia. That is spasmodic dystonia. In the spasmodic dystonia, there is spasm and contraction of the vocal cord muscle that causes the rapid closing of the vocal cord. There is rapid closing of vocal cord due to the muscle contraction, and this spasmodic dystonia impair the speech of the patient. Now we will discuss the generalized dystonia. Generalized dystonia. Generalized dystonia. Generalized dystonia. In the generalized dystonia, there is the hereditary problem. Generalized dystonia is a hereditary in nature. In the generalized dystonia, they occur in childhood. They appear in childhood. There is different gene involved in generalized dystonia. That is TORIA, TORIA gene, THAPL, TAPL gene, ANO3 gene, GNAL genes. First we will discuss the TORIA gene that involved in generalized dystonia. TORIA gene. The TORIA gene, that is Taurusin family member A. TORIA. Taurusin family member A gene that is involved in the generalized dystonia. This is the most common cause of the early onset of dystonia in the childhood, and it frequently occurs in Ashkenazi Jews. The most common cause of dystonia in childhood due to TORIA, TORIA gene, childhood, and it is also the most frequently occur in Ashkenazi Jews. In this type of dystonia, there is three-pair deletion. RIA deletion or TOR deletion or other deletion, but there is 3 pair deletions. The second number genes involved in generalized dystonia is THAPL. THAPL TPL, tupal gene. Tupal gene. There is about 100 types of mutation in tupal gene. About 100 types of mutation. 100 types of mutation in tupal genes. This tupal gene mutation in generalized dystonia in the childhood are adolescence. They start in childhood. Dystonia start in childhood or adolescence. First they start in the hand. First they affect the hand muscle and hand movements, then spread to the other parts of the body. When they affect the hand muscle, there is difficulty in writing the letter or writing other thing that is called writer cramp. This condition is called writer cramp, and this occurs in generalized dystonia of childhood in the tupal gene due to mutation. The third number is A13 mutation. A13 mutation in the generalized dystonia. In this type of mutation, there is craniocervical dystonia. There is the craniocervical dystonia. The craniocervical dystonia in the childhood is due to ANO3 gene mutation. And the fourth number is TNAL gene mutation. Fourth number is TNAL gene mutation. The age of onset, so due to mutation in the TNAL gene is age of onset is 30 years of age. So this is the elderly. TNAL mutation occur in the elderly. Tupal gene mutation and Toria gene mutation and THU1 gene mutation mostly occur in the adults, or mostly occur in the childhood or young adults, but the TNAL mutation occur in young, that is 30 years of age. In the TNAL gene mutation there is microcephaly. There must be microcephaly, psychiatric problem and intellectual disability. There is intellectual disability, psychiatric problem, microcephaly, and the gene mutation is TNAL in the generalized dystonia. Now we will discuss the combined dystonia. That is, combined dystonia is dystonia plus other movement disorder. Now we will discuss the combined dystonia. Combined dystonia. The combined dystonia, there is dystonia plus other movement disorder. For example, number 1 in the combined dystonia is dopa responsive dystonia. Dopa responsive dystonia. In the dopa responsive dystonia, the symptom can be relieved by the given of dopamine. In this dopa responsive dystonia, also called sewage syndrome. This is also called syndrome. Sewage syndrome. In this sewage syndrome, the symptoms at the initial time can be relieved by giving the dopamine. In this dopa responsive dystonia or sewage syndrome, there is mutation in the GCH1 gene, that is also known as GTP GTP cyclohydrolase 1. This enzyme encodes the rate limiting step. This enzyme encodes the rate limiting enzyme in biosynthesis of dopa. This controls the rate limiting enzyme in the biosynthesis of dopa. This controls the enzyme that limit the rate in the synthesis of dopamine. When there is a mutation, so the rate limiting step cannot be present, and there is dystonia, that is called sewage syndrome. But when we give dopamine from the external, that is exogenous dopamine, so this is the dopa responsive. This type of dystonia present at the childhood of dystonia with diurnal fluctuation. This present at the childhood. This type of dystonia, that is dopa responsive dystonia, present at the childhood with diurnal at the daytime. There is dystonia, diurnal fluctuation. And this type of dystonia 56% more common in the women. This dystonia is dopa responsive dystonia is 56% present in the women. The second number combined dystonia is Lubeg. L-U-B-A-G, Lubeg dystonia. The second name for the Lubeg dystonia is X-linked dystonia. X-linked dystonia. In this dystonia, there is dystonia plus Parkinsonism. Usually, there is cranial dystonia. The dystonia in the Lubeg dystonia, there is usually cranial dystonia, and Parkinsonism feature are also present. They usually relieved in response to dopamine. Response to the levodopa. After 5 to 10 years of the Lubeg dystonia, there is unresponsive to levodopa. The Parkinsonism in this disease, after 5 to 10 years, unresponsive to levodopa. And the mutation in the X-linked dystonia is due to the mutation in the Tata box building protein. Tata box building protein. The Tata box building protein, there is Lubeg dystonia, there is X-linked dystonia, there is dystonia plus Parkinsonism. Dystonia plus Parkinsonism. The Parkinsonism can be relieved by and can give response to levodopa at the early age, but the age of 5 to 10 years after the dystonia, no response to the levodopa. The third type of dystonia is called biallelic mutation. Now we will discuss the combined dystonia. Number third is the biallelic mutation. Biallelic mutation. The biallelic mutation, there is the mutation in the PRKRA genes, PRKRA1 genes. These genes involved are the protein activation of the other systems that involve the PRKRA activate the protein of interferon induced protein kinase. This activates the protein for interferon induced protein kinase. Activate the enzyme for the activation of interferon induced protein kinase. When this mutation occurs, there is no activation for the interferon of the protein kinase. So the dystonia occur and Parkinsonism syndrome also occur. Dystonia occur and Parkinsonism syndrome also occur. In this type of dystonia, that is biallelic mutation, that is mutation in the PRKRA gene, parakra. In the parakra gene mutation, there is the deficiency of protein that activate the interferon induced protein kinase. So there is no activity of the protein kinase. There is Parkinsonism develop and dystonia present. The dystonia present in the laryngeal dystonia and tongue protrusion and dysphagia occur. This is the cervical region, head and neck region, head up to neck region. Dystonia present, that is called, they disturb the laryngeal system. There is laryngeal dystonia, tongue protrusion, there is tongue protrusion and dysphagia. There is also dysphagia. The patient has difficulty in eating when there is biallelic mutation of combined dystonia. Now we will discuss the ATP A13 gene dystonia. ATP A1 ATP ATP1A3 gene mutation for ATPase, that is sodium has one ion, sodium potassium ATPase. The transporting subunit of alpha 3 in the young childhood. They transport the subunit. So the ATP1A3 gene mutation cause the dystonia in young childhood. This type of dystonia is triggered by fever, physical exertion and emotional stress. They are triggered by fever, more emotional stress, physical exertion. They are also triggered by physical exertion. In this ATP1A3 gene, that is ATPase, sodium potassium ATPase mutation of combined dystonia, The strong involvement of bulbar region. There is strong involvement of the bulbar region. There is strong involvement of the bulbar region. Strong involvement of the bulbar region due to dystonia. In this type of ATP1A3 gene mutation, there is bradykinesia as a Parkinson features. Bradykinesia also present as a Parkinson symptoms. So there is Parkinson symptom, that is P. Parkinson symptoms also present. Now we will discuss the complex dystonia. This is the combined dystonia. Now we will discuss the complex dystonia. The complex dystonia, there is hereditary. The hereditary is due to Wilson disease. Wilson disease will also cause dystonia, complex dystonia. Huntington disease and Lesch-Nyhan syndrome.